Explanation: these verses indicate a shift in values in addressing a problem that occurs in society, so that they consider people who maintain honor and ethics as criminals who must be punished. In the end, people who have the desire to improve the condition of society are considered as destroyers of society and must be removed from their midst. This is what happened to Musa alayhi salam, who was considered by the followers of Pharaoh as a destroyer. As for the sin committed by the family of Luth, it was their desire to maintain their honor and chastity in the midst of a society whose habits were fond of doing dirty and disgusting deeds and various other wrongdoings, to the extent that homosexuality had become one of their customs, that no one among them felt disturbed. On the other hand, they made people who did not behave like them considered criminals and deserved punishment. As for the leaders of Shu'ab, they were of the view that following his teachings would lead to loss. Of course, the meaning of loss here is the loss of the enjoyment of life, the position they occupy, and the various evils that they have always been thirsty to keep drinking. What needs to be noted is that those who initiated this propaganda, and at the same time massively socialized it, in the essence of legal considerations of all things, were the rulers and honorable people of the people. They are the ones who are always actively committing these crimes. The hadith explains that the parameters of society in addressing various issues and problems around them have shifted, to the extent that people who are trusted are betrayed or denied, and on the contrary, people who betray are trusted. This shows nothing but that the condition of the ummah has been completely corrupted, or the breakdown of the governance of life in it, and the strong influence of evil decision-makers in the midst of society. The hadith also signals a massive and powerful attack by the mass media against the defenders of the religion of Allah on earth. If you pay attention, they have opened a battlefront of accusations by using issues that they deliberately developed to destabilize the noble values that have been the traits of Muslims, including honesty and trustworthiness. On the other hand, they also distort the facts to the extent of wrapping up lies, so that they do not appear to be lies, or presenting the face of a traitor, so that his betrayal does not appear to be betrayal, even presenting a completely opposite face. It can be guessed that the common people can be provoked with full awareness, so that they give up all their affairs, and even happily accept the betrayal and lies of these evil officials. The hadith also hints at three other signs of the Day of Judgment, namely poor neighborly relations, broken ties of friendship, and widespread immoral and disgusting acts. This is not the place to explain these signs. However, what needs to be underlined here is that in a society or environment where these three deadly disasters are widespread, there is no denying that a trustworthy person does not find a place in the community and his family, just like Luth, who was ostracized by his own people. The difference is that if Luth alayhi salam was excluded by ostracizing him from the settlements of his people, then in this present time, the ostracism is done by excluding them, or they are deliberately prevented from taking part in policy making with the accusation that these honest people are traitors and liars. The hadith above is also a warning every member of the community not to be careless in responding to rumors and trying to find the necessary information, especially if the issue relates to the credibility and security of people who have been considered good people and maintain honor. This is because, basically, every individual of the Muslims is trying to strengthen each other with the various means they have. Similarly, the hadith above also indicates the loss of proper standardization in assessing a problem they encounter or a problem between them, namely, the emergence of a new idea that is very strange from the understanding and parameters of Muslims so far. And one hadith has signaled a sign of the revocation of the trust. In those days, there were many people who transacted, but almost no one fulfilled the trust. So it was said, "Surely in Banu Fulan there is a trustworthy person." It was said of him, "How clever he is, how shrewd he is, and how skillful he is. Yet there is not the slightest hint of trustworthiness and faith in the heart of that person, even if it is only the size of a mustard seed. 24. The rise of immorality. Abdullah ibn Amr radiyallahu anhuma reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The hour will not come so that those who are trustworthy will be disbelieved, and those who betray will be trusted. And lewdness and profanity will become a common phenomenon in society. And the ties of friendship will be broken, and neighborly relations will be bad." Ahmad, Musnad al-Mukatsirin, Hadith No. 6886. Explanation: this omen is more than enough to know, and our reality proves its truth with the most perfect picture. Profanity has become a mandatory part of any gathering, as if a gathering is incomplete if it is not flavored with these words. Even among the educated, this phenomenon is obvious. This sign can be sensed by sight in our country. If we add to all these phenomena the prevalence of adultery and the things that lead to it in society, appearances that arouse the desires of the opposite sex, promiscuity, and various media broadcasts, whether on television, radio, or print media, so we can imagine how great the influence of dirty behavior that penetrates deeply and dwells in the hearts of people. Not to mention the various deceptions carried out by the media by wrapping the abomination and decorating it to look like a good thing by hiding behind the word art. And people who live this disgusting profession are called celebrities or stars. So why discuss this issue at length when the evidence of reality is more illuminating than words? 25. Poor neighborly relationship. Abdullah ibn Amr, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The hour will not come so that those who are trustworthy will be disbelieved, and those who betray will be trusted. And lewdness and profanity will become a common phenomenon in society. And the ties of friendship will be broken, and neighborly relations will be bad." Ahmad, Musnad al-Mukatsirin, Hadith No. 6886. Explanation: this hadith indicates that one of the signs of the Day of Judgment will be bad neighborly relations. And this sign is a logical consequence of a society that frees itself from the guidance of the message, changes its orientation in life, and competes with each other's interests, affairs, interests, ambitions, and directions. In a society that is filled with lies, suspicion, envy, and jealousy towards the enjoyment of others, as well as competition in achieving worldly goals, not to mention gossip between people, it is certain that the values of good neighborliness will fade. A bad neighbor is a far cry from a bad neighbor, which the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, sought protection from. Bad neighbors are a very rare phenomenon in a clean society. It is rare for someone to have a bad neighbor, but bad neighborliness is a common phenomenon in society. Obviously, bad neighbor relations arise as a result of interactions between residents, each of whom has a role in creating this condition. This sign is closely related to the various signs of the Day of Judgment that we have previously mentioned. To some extent, this will result in the emergence of wounds that must be immediately amputated if they appear in the community. If this omen is left unchecked, it will lead to the removal of mercy from the lives of the Muslims, and its replacement will be cursing and hostility. What curse is worse than that of a person who is tested by having neighbors who clap their hands with joy when he is afflicted with a calamity, while they turn sour with joy? Which curse is worse than that of a person who is tested by having neighbors, each of whom has absolutely no tolerance or empathy for him, who seek his disgrace, and wait for him to make a mistake so that he can be deceived? What curse is worse than that of a person who is tested by having neighbors, each of whom hides his good deeds, waits for an opportunity to commit treason against him, looks at him with suspicion and probes every day? Their work is only to incite him with their envious hearts. and shower him with the fire of hostility from their vengeful hearts? The verse below is at least enough to illustrate how dangerous this omen is in a society. It tells the story of a man who sold his house at a very low price to avoid his bad neighbors. They all blamed me for selling my own house very cheaply, while they did not know that next to my house was a troublesome neighbor. I said to them, "Stop your reproaches. You know that the price of a house is cheap or expensive, depending on its neighbors. As is well known, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, placed great emphasis on the rights of one's neighbors and considered them among the most important rights, to the extent that he said, Gabriel alayhi salam always reminded me of the rights of my neighbor, so much so that I thought that it was my neighbor who would inherit my wealth." This is his emphasis on the importance of fulfilling the rights of neighbors. This is one of his messages to his companions, to fulfill their rights and maintain good relations with them. At the same time, he sought protection from bad neighbors, just as he sought protection from the accursed devil. The Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, explained that a bad neighbor is one who, if someone is afflicted with a bad thing, spreads it, and, if he sees someone else doing well, he keeps it. Likewise, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, denied a person's faith by swearing 3 times for someone who was not trustworthy to his neighbor, either in matters of his dignity or his property. This education was always given and always practiced by this early generation of Muslims, so that they became a united people with a high sense of solidarity with each other. Clearly, good neighborly relations are an incomparable blessing or grace. But if we look at the current conditions, it turns out that this pleasure, or part of it, has been deprived of Muslims. 26. Disconnection. Allah Almighty says, "Would you, if you were in power, make mischief on earth and break up families? Those are the ones whom Allah has cursed, and He has deafened their ears and blinded their sight." Muhammad 22-23. Abdul H. ibn Masud, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Among the signs of the Day of Judgment are the greeting of certain people, the rise of commerce to the extent that a wife may help her husband with commerce, the severing of ties of friendship, the abundance of false testimony, the concealment of true testimony, and the spread of the pen." Explanation. A. Meaning of Ar-Ram. Ar-Ram is defined as family or relatives, whether the family relationship is based on nasab or not, whether the family relationship applies the law of mutual inheritance or not, and whether they are mahrams or not. So, with this understanding, the word Ar-Ram includes the children of maternal uncles or aunts, or the children of paternal uncles or aunts, cousins. There are also those who say that Ar-Ram is limited to paternal or maternal uncles or aunts. B. Silaturahmi position. From an Islamic perspective, Islam, through the guidance of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, pays great attention to friendship by making it a principal ethic in religion. Among the phenomena of how much Islam pays attention to this matter, Islam calls it the word Ar-Ram, which is taken from the word Ar-Rahman, which is the name of a tree whose branches are attached to the throne of Allah. The term implies that whoever cuts it off is cut off from the mercy of Allah, the one who is enthroned on the throne. So much so that Allah said to Ar-Ram, "Are you willing if I connect whoever connects you and I cut off whoever cuts you off?" This means that there is one rope that connects or disconnects from Allah. This is proof enough that Silaturahmi is a very big deal in Islam. In fact, Silaturahmi is one of the causes of one's inclusion in paradise. On the other hand, Silaturahmi is the cause of opening the door to sustenance and blessing in it. Thus, how Islam has emphasized the importance of Silaturahim. C. The breaking of Silaturahmi as a sign of the last days. In the previous point, we have seen how much attention Islam pays to the matter of silaturahmi, to the extent that Islam makes it a character that must be carried by its adherents. However, what was always emphasized by the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not escape the various shortcomings caused by the condition of Muslims in general. In fact, in its continuation, it is precisely this disconnection that is used as one of the signs of the Day of Judgment. The verse explains that the severance of ties of friendship is a sibling of the destruction of life on earth, while the hadith explains that the same act will invite the curse of Allah for the perpetrators. This sign is already clearly visible in our present time, with its various models and forms. In addition to the factors that influence it are also very diverse, and it is precisely the community itself that has provided opportunities conducive to the creation of the disconnection of silaturahmi. Among these phenomena are Western lifestyles that do not recognize fathers, mothers, and brothers. There is only a relationship of interest. 27. False testimony. Abdul H. ibn Masud, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Among the signs of the Day of Judgment are the greeting of certain people, the rise of commerce to the extent that a wife may help her husband with commerce, the severing of ties of friendship, the prevalence of false testimony, and the concealment of true testimony, and the appearance of the pen." Explanation. A. Dissemination of false testimony. False testimony, according to the decree of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is one of the major sins, as zur means lying and falsification. False testimony in this context means deliberately altering facts and everything related to them in order to deprive a rightful person of his rights, or to take something away from a rightful person. False testimony is also given to oppress innocent people, and may also be given to prevent criminals from being punished by the law. False testimony for this purpose was unheard of in the first 3 generations of Muslims. This is as narrated in the hadith of Imran bin Husayn radiyallahu anhu, where the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "The best community among you is this generation of mine, then the generation after it, and the generation after it again." Imran said, "I do not remember whether the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, mentioned any generations after these 2, whether they were 2 or 3. Then the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "After your generation will come a people who will be treacherous and untrustworthy, who will testify and not be accountable for their testimony, who will make vows and break them, and who will be obese at that time." Imran said, "I do not remember whether the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned a few more generations after these 2 generations." This hadith indicates a shift in the human condition after the first 3 generations of Muslims. Among the phenomena of this change in condition is that they give testimony but cannot be held accountable for it. Ibn Hajar mentions several interpretations of what this means, with 2 options: giving false testimony or giving testimony without being asked. Today, we see a lot of buying and selling of consciences at very low prices. Even false testimony has become an easily available commodity at a very affordable price. This is a logical consequence in this corrupt age, when various fitna are eroding one's religious spirit, except for those who have the mercy of Allah. May He be glorified and exalted, to be spared from this. As a result, people easily sell their conscience and religion for the treasures of this world. As mentioned earlier, lying is one of the signs of the imminence of the hour.